everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and today, on this day, I have with me a gentleman by the name of Rony Francois. He's a credit repair specialist, better known as the credit hero, author of a new book with another one on the way, which I'm looking forward to learning more about. But first and foremost, as I always do, I'd like to take a quick moment to pause, say thank you for making time for me. Time is a gift. Once we give it, we can't get it back. And with that, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to have me on the show. Again, kudos to you, everything that you're doing. We connected on social media a while back. I've been following, so you're definitely doing some amazing things. So super proud of you, super dope. Thank you for the opportunity. Again, like you mentioned, Rony Francois, the credit hero. I help people with less than perfect credit. That's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about. I have a passion for helping people. Once I learned the credit game, I didn't want to be selfish, keep all the information to myself. I want to give it out to everybody I can give it out to, because again, it felt really selfish of me. So that's what I'm doing. I got clients throughout the United States, work with nonprofits, schools, some of the government officials, definitely trying to make a positive impact throughout the world.
Awesome. I love it. Now, as I was getting ready for today's show, I was reading the intro of your book on Amazon, and you share your own story about a car dealership. So I was wondering if I could trouble you to kind of tell us that story.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Probably back in there a long time when I was getting my first car, before I learned about credit. Because I used to see people going to the car dealership. They say, hey, I went right in, picked out what I wanted and got it and left within minutes or hours, or the case might be. So I just assumed that I was going to go in, within like minutes, maybe like less than an hour. I was going to make it do what it do. Mm-hmm. And I remember I got off of work. I took the bus, got there. It was like around like 4:00 in the afternoon. The sun was still out. And when we got there, they told me I could pick out a car that I like. I'm like, all right, that's cool. It seems pretty cool. I picked out a couple, high-end vehicles. And then they was like, all right, cool. We just need to run them numbers. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what numbers? Like, yeah, your credit. I'm like, okay, whatever. All right, whatever. And he came back. He's like, well, unfortunately, we can't get you those cars. Actually, your credit is so bad, we can't. It's going to be hard for us to get you financed, but we're going to work with you, through different companies. So at that time, I didn't realize what they was doing. They was running my credit like, 5, 6, 7, 8 different times, different financial institution, because their goal is to get you financed. They don't care if they got to run it one time or 100 times. And back then I didn't realize hard inquiry studying credit for 2 years. I didn't realize that it has negative. I didn't realize none of that stuff. So after back and forth, I'm like, man, what they doing? I'm sitting there, it's almost dinner time. Next thing so long story short, I finally got a car. It wasn't the car that I wanted. I think I was paying maybe like 16%, whatever the case might be. And it was my first car. So I got a high car payment, car insurance like $200 or $300 a month. So I'm like, what did I get myself into? And I remember when I went in, it was daytime. When I went out, it was nighttime, like around like 9 o'clock. They was literally locking doors when I went out. Wow. That's how long it took, because my credit was jacked up. But they really, really wanted to give me a car. And I remember that guy, his name to this day, Victor Hood. I remember how hard he worked to give me the car. So I'm grateful to Victor Hood, because it was really, really bad. So because I opened up that book to show people like, hey, like it can happen to anybody. Credit's something that impacts everybody. So like you shouldn't be ashamed if it happened to happen. But the goal is to, get the information, get the knowledge, and fix it. Okay. So you're the first one that ever asked that ever asked me to talk about that.
Awesome. Now, as I was going through my own personal journey with credit, I got a couple of things in the beginning. And one of the messages people were always telling me, don't worry about it. It'll roll off in 7 years. But that's such a lie. Like, you don't have to wait the 7 years. So explain that myth to us and what rolls off and what doesn't.
Okay, so in a perfect world, you can wait the 7 years, 7 to 10 years, depending on the state of sin, for it to fall off, because it eventually has to fall off. But the thing is, once you get to the 7 to 10 years, sometimes the credit bureaus, they're not your friends. They're not going to just take it off because the statute of limitations will pass. So sometimes even after the 7 years, you still have to reach out to and say, look, it's past the statute of limitation. You got to take this off, because they're not in the business for you. So that's one thing. And then we gotta think about that. So that's that 3, 5, 17 years that you're waiting for it to fall off. You still gotta get a house. Yeah, so you still have to get a house. There's stuff that you still need. So your credit's still gonna be preventing you from getting stuff that you want. So that means you really have to like make a lot of sacrifices. So why make those sacrifices that you don't have to? We
Mm,
can actually tackle those negative items on your credit report. And yes, 90% of the people that have negative items on their credit report is actually their stuff, it's their bills. But
mhm.
the thing is, it's the credit bureaus, they have to verify that it's yours. And if they can't verify that's yours, it don't matter if it's yours or not, then it has to come off. So that's why it's important to know the rules and the laws to, to make it. And then you also want to make it hard as possible for them to verify the information. For example,
Mm,
one of the things you can actually do is update your personal information in your credit report because that's what they go by, your address, your old phone numbers, names. Because if you have like, you should only have one name, one address, one phone number on your credit report. So when they go verify, if you have those old addresses, if they've been deleted, that makes it a little bit harder for them to verify.
okay.
And if they go past
Okay.
that 30, 45 days, and you're like, hey, look, you want past the time you're supposed to pass, you can't verify, then you have to delete it. Again, it just
Okay.
goes back about just knowing the laws and the rules on the books.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I've had some conversations with people and they say things to me like, I don't need credit. I can get through life without credit. How realistic is that?
So it might sound kind of crazy. It is possible to get through life without credit
Mm,
if you plan on spending cash for everything that you have. So let's just say you have a beautiful house, which I'm sure you do, and you want to get the back porch done. It's like 40 grand, and your credit is not the best, but you're gonna take 40 grand out of your 401k or retirement. I say you're gonna get that back porch. It's gonna look nice and pretty. Or if you have good credit or decent credit, you can go to the bank and say, look, I'm a responsible adult. You can trust your 40 grand. They're gonna give you that 40 grand. Then you're gonna pay them back over the time. And after a certain amount of time, you have your new deck, you don't have to touch your savings, and you pay them back their money. So I would say, having good credit is like having options. That's like eating
okay.
pizza, right? Like
Yeah.
somebody want to eat pepperoni all the time. Nobody want to eat cheese. You want
Mhm.
different options. That's what it does. It just gives you options, it gives you more choices. And with me, I like choices. I like options. I don't like to eat the same thing all the time. So that's basically what it does. Some people can live with limited or no options, and some people need options.
Got you. Got you. So, what is the sweet spot? What should we be doing? 680, 720? What's the goal?
Okay, so most banks, they want you to be between like 620 and 670 for them to actually do business with you. But the sweet spot is actually 750. Yes, you can get the 800. Yes, you can get the 850. But really, once you get in like 750, 770, you can pretty much get anything you want. Again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with trying to get 800, 850. But when you get to those, it's not hard to get them. But the thing is, it's sometimes it can be hard to maintain them. It's more realistic to maintain a 750 is to maintain an 850, 800, 850. So 670 and 750 is like the sweet spot.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, why does credit your score drop like and go up and drop and you're not doing anything?
So it varies. For example, like if you have a car payment, which is considered an installment loan, once you pay that car off, now it's not reporting to the credit bureau. Your score is actually going to drop. So you
Oh,
actually get
wow.
yeah, so you actually get punished for being a responsible adult paying your bills. Yeah. Um, Anything that's like an installment loan, once you pay that balance off, it's not reporting, your score is going to drop. Um,
Mm,
Maybe you might have had a collection that might have just pop out of nowhere. That can cause your score to drop. We might have late payment. So it can be like a million different things. But I think the most common one I see is when somebody pays something off, their score takes that hit. Or
okay.
sometimes too, when you add a new credit, when you add a new line of credit, sometimes your score is going to take that hit. But as you start making your payments, it's going to go back up. So
Okay.
sometimes that'll cause it to go down too when you get new credit.
Okay. Now, I just had a thought. Going back to your story about the car dealership, and you were saying they were pulling your credit report over and over again. Do you have the option as a consumer to say, no, here's my credit report from 30 days ago, use this? Or do you have to allow them to pull it?
So one of the things you can do is, if it's possible, you want to go in there with a check from your bank, your credit, if it's possible, because that way you can go in there. You have that leverage you can actually just, give them the check, whatever case might be, cashier's check. It
Okay.
makes it a smoother process. Or there are certain banks where you can do pre-approved offer. They'll pre-approve you. And most of the time if they pre-approve you, that means they're going to approve you with the loan. So that way, or you can go to the bank, you can say, look, I know for sure this bank right here has pre-approved me. This is the bank I'd like for you to use.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can definitely do that too. So, but if you don't have none of those things in place before you get there, they're going to run it from here to the sun come up until they find somebody that's willing to help you and feel sorry
Okay.
for you and work with you.
Okay. Okay. Now, my next question is, what is a good credit mix? Is it 2 credit cards, a credit card and a mortgage, a credit card and a car? What's a good credit mix?
So again, it just really depends on your goal. If you're just trying to, get the 620, if you're trying to get the 700, 750. So the two biggest, so there's 5 factors that make up your credit score, but the 2 biggest one is your payment history, which is 35% credit score, and your credit utilization, which is 30%. So of course, if you never want to go above 30%, but you keep your balance like single digits, like 5%, 2%, or even 1%, and have perfect payment history, that's the biggest, that's 65% of your score right there. And let's just say, so you want to be at the 600, let's say you want to be at 650, you might just have like 2 or 3 credit cards, but they might have high limits versus you might have like 4 or 5 small ones, but the limit is low. So it kind of really depends. But you want to have a mixture of revolving, which is like credit cards, and also installment, maybe like, car payment, stuff that you're paying back monthly until you pay the balance. So you want to have a mixture of that.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Now let me get into your books because I want to make sure I get to that. The book that I think I was pulling the car dealership story from was Break the Cycle.
Yeah, break the cycle. You don't have to live with bad credit.
So
right
when, and that one came out this year?
This one came out January. It came out last year, January 2021.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're all confused. COVID has got it all messed up. So what
Yeah.
made you put out that one?
Basically, the title "Break the Cycle" because my parents didn't teach me about credit, and I wanted to break the cycle when it came to my kids. I remember when my son, when he was 9 years old, we used to go around in the apartment complex, hand out cards. And this was pre-COVID, of course. Now, we was talking to people about credit. I used to talk to my daughter about it. So I wanted to break that cycle, break that generational curse. Because again, once I got that knowledge, I'm like, hey, look, when I was growing up, none of my friends really knew about credit. I didn't have nobody I could call, say, look, I got a question about credit. I wasn't nobody. If they existed, I didn't know about them. I mean, of course, they wasn't part of my circle. So now with this book, I'm able to share that knowledge with other people because that's the excuse a lot of people usually like, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't have the knowledge where they realize that their phone is like a freaking walking dictionary. You can find anything in it, but I want to eliminate that excuse for people. And that's why I like the ebook of this book right here. I made it free. I gave out hundreds of copies last year. And this year, my goal is to give out 5,000 copies of the ebooks free to people because I want to eliminate that just saying I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the money to get it. I mean, of course, somebody want to buy it, they can still buy it, but I just want to eliminate that. And I just want to share the knowledge with people. I think that's
Awesome.
really, really important.
Awesome. Amazing. Amazing. And I like that you incorporated the kids because, I can say one thing in our experience is we don't pass on that knowledge to our kids about how to be financially savvy or credit wise once they leave the house. And they kind of leave the house and they're just floundering and making mistakes. So I just love that you're teaching the kids that. I mean, that's just wonderful.
Yeah. So, and then, I didn't know if you knew I had a second book out too.
Yeah, that's what I was. Oh, yeah, I didn't know about that one. Tell me about that one.
So this one's really dope. It's called The 10 Credit Commandments. And actually, with this one, my kids are contributing authors in that book. So again, I wanted to include them in it. So like all the proceeds from this book is gonna go to them. So it's like, I'm breaking the cycle and I'm teaching about generational wealth. So like now, that's just one stream of income that they will have forever that they don't really have to put that much work into. Again, is breaking that cycle, creating generational wealth. It's really, really important. It was really fun. Like I said, I wrote 3 books last year. I'll probably do 3 or 4 more this year. I'm not really sure. But writing this book with my kids, I think that's like one of my biggest accomplishments. So I've done a lot of things, but like that's super dope. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I can only count like I think like one of my friends who's written a book with his kids. I don't know too many other guys that done that with the younger kids. That's
Yeah.
dope for me. So
Leaving a legacy. And I mean, you
yeah.
do it. You do that. Now, let me ask you this. So you have a client calls you on the phone or emails you and says, Rony, I want to, my credit's all jacked up and I need some help. What does that person need to gather up to bring to you for the first consultation?
Nothing. I just need the undivided attention from 9 minutes to 22 minutes. Basically, I asked them three questions like, what type of negative item that you have on your credit report that you know of, what type of positive credit that you have, and what is your credit score. So by them, and then what is your credit goal once you achieve the credit goal that you want. So by them answering those four questions, I know what direction to take it. And so
Okay.
basically, there's a couple different ways we can do. We have the monthly plan where credit attorneys pull the credit, analyze it, put the letters together from them every month, send it to them. And then we have the a la carte plan where where they say, look, I don't want to do the monthly plan. I just want to do the one fee up front.
Mhm.
So they choose that method. You know, they send me the credit report. I analyze it with a fine tooth comb, look for any mistakes, any errors, and I put a package together tailored just for their need. And then I send that to them. Because what I found out, some people they use that excuse like, I don't want to do a monthly plan. And I'm like, you pay your rent on time, you pay your rent every month, don't you? You pay yourself. I mean, that's what I'd be wanting to say to them, but people are so sensitive, you can't really say stuff like that. So when they say that, I'm like, well, you want to do the one where you just pay the money up front versus the monthly. Because I
Okay.
want to give people different options. I just want to eliminate the excuses that people come across. I want to eliminate the objections before they even throw them at me. So
Gotcha.
that's what I try to do because I know
Awesome.
how important it is.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I'm sorry, I'm having a little moment here. I have a credit monitoring service on one of these companies. I can't remember, but one of the things is uh, score increaser or something like that. And they have things like if you notate your utility bills or something like that. Does that actually increase your credit?
So yeah, so there are certain companies. I think Experian Boost has
Yeah,
it.
that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes. And there's other couple of
Mhm.
different companies that do it too. Like as you pay your Netflix, like your
Mhm.
monthly subscription, I actually report that as a payment on your credit report. But
Oh,
the only bad thing about that is like all three bureaus don't offer. It's only like certain bureaus that do have it. And then if you have like you showing like you have like too many things, that actually might show like your debt to income ratio might actually show up higher too.
okay.
So you got to
Okay.
be careful not to show too many things on it. But there are a few different companies and Experian that do offer that. So
Okay.
they do give it a boost up. But then again, like the main thing you need to realize, it doesn't matter how many type of boost that you use, how many trade lines you have. If you have a lot of negative items on your credit report, you're gonna see limited to no increase at all because those negative items, they're holding you down. That's what they're doing.
Mhm.
So you can pile on all you want, you're gonna see little to no increase until you tackle those negative items.
Okay, okay. Now, and that also brings me to you do more than just credit repair. You offer other financial services as well, right?
Yeah, so I also offer the financial literacy tools. Again, financial wellness coach too. It just depends on
Okay.
what they need. And then the most important thing is I know for sure like when I get on a phone call with a client, every client is not going to sign for a service. I already know that already. I live in a realistic society. But when they get off that call, they're going to learn something about credit they didn't know already. And
Mhm.
also I make the ebook available to any potential client that might even need it too. Again, just give you that knowledge to knock out the excuses that you need. Just sharing the knowledge, just teaching people about it. Because and it's not just people with bad credit neither. Because I have people with good credit that come. They say, look, I'm at 750. Like, what can I do to get to 800? I'm at 800. What can I do to get 850? So it's not just bad credit. Some people with good credit, people that's paying the mortgage stuff, people that got multiple cars, multiple houses. They call in because they need that advice. And and I feel good when they reach out because I'm like, that's good because like I didn't have that friend to call. Matter of fact, like
Mhm.
if I can think of it, like now, I'm really having to networking. I got people I can call, but before I didn't have nobody. Now, I mean, it's almost like I'm the guy that people, reach out to you when they need questions, when they have questions.
Awesome. I love it. Now, let me ask you this because I do a lot of relationship coaching. So when it comes to marriage, is it best for couples to combine their credit or keep something separate, or do we
I mean,
intertwine?
I think they should keep it separate, but they should make sure they both have decent credit. And of course, things happen, stuff happens, people can't control, and everybody that you come across is not going to have good credit. It's not how the world works. But if you with somebody, and their credit is bad, yeah, it might not affect you right now, but down the line, if you're trying to do big moves, big things together, it's possible it could affect you. So why not encourage that person? Hey, fix your credit. You know what I mean? Do it for your kids, do it for your family, do it for me. And because sometimes people would do stuff for the family too. If they won't do it for themselves, they do it for the family.
Awesome.
That was one of the main reasons why I really fixed my credit, because I was at the point it was really bad. It was so bad. I used to hope somebody would steal my identity. That's how bad it was. I'm like, yo, if somebody steal it, at least I get these associates, but that never happened though. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just sit back, wait for 7 years. But then I'm like, well, if I live like that, like this could impact my kids, it could impact my family. So it was really because of my kids. That's what really motivated me to do it. So because I felt like they need that, something that was
Yeah.
really good.
Awesome. Now, I think I have two more questions. Let me write them down. But going back to kids, one of the things I think you've mentioned in your book is that we do a really bad job at teaching kids in high school or elementary, whatever, in the school system about credit and financial literacy. So what can we do at home before we send the kids out there to educate them on this whole process?
Just get the book and tell them to look over the book. That's one of
Okay.
the first things you can do is available. Again, so I think the most important thing is there's no growing up, maybe not in your house or my household, like our parents, they should tell us stuff, but they wouldn't explain it to us. So when I was younger, periodically I would give my brother some credit. He used to say, like, you gotta pay your bills on time, you gotta pay your bills on time, but he never told me why I had to pay my bills on time. He never said 35% of my credit score. Maybe he didn't know. I mean, I don't know. But the whole point is like explain to your kids why, the importance of it. Because I know sometimes parents be like, I ain't gotta explain nothing to you, but like if you tell them the benefit of it, sometimes they might do it, they might listen to, they might pay attention to. Because one thing about kids, they might not do everything you say, but they're always watching what you do.
True, true. All righty. Now, you mentioned you had wished somebody had stole your identity. So that kind of made me think about identity theft and how do you protect yourself from it? Or what do you do if you find out you have been a victim of identity theft?
Well, one of the first thing you want to do is you want to have credit monitoring, because that's very, very important. A lot of people don't think they need it, but you need it. Credit monitoring is like having an alarm on on your social security. Yeah, you have alarm. Most people have alarm in the house. Most people have alarm in the car. Why not have alarm on your credit report? That's what pretty much what credit monitoring is. And then you'll get alert depending on the company that you have. If it's identity theft or fraud, and the first thing you want to do is you want to file a police report, and then you want to contact the credit bureaus. Those are the main two things. Then of course you can always work with a credit professional where because if you have that police report, that's like half of the issue right there. It'll make it easier to resolve those problems, get those items removed off your credit report.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So I heard you say, I pay attention, you've got some more books in the works?
Yeah, so actually I had my third one came out on Christmas, the 25th. So this one was on a totally different topic. This one was on love. It's called Eros. What is your definition of love? Yeah, I know. I went from the credit hero to love hero. You gotta switch it up a little bit. I'm multi-talented. What can I say, right? It's really, really important because right now, this pandemic, it affects everybody financially when it comes to your credit, and it affect a lot of people emotionally, which there was love. So like that's why I felt like those two books. I felt like it was time to write those books. And I'll be honest with you, I was juggling a little bit about writing this book, because in this book actually showed my vulnerability side, believe it or not. And a lot of men, I mean, most of not all of them, some men don't like to show that they're vulnerable. They don't like to show the vulnerability side. But I'm human, so I'm like, there's nothing wrong with showing you like I have feelings, I have emotions. I get hurt just like anybody else.
True.
But the only difference is I know how to bounce back. I don't let it, keep me down.
True.
So I think the book is really dope. it's gonna be like New York #1 bestseller, just like everything else that I wrote. And it's on Amazon too. You know, deals with relationship. I don't know, it deals with a whole bunch. We could be talking about the next 2 hours. Yeah, but it's a good book though. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I love it. So the love book, and then anything else?
Then I got like 2 more. I got one coming out. It's gonna be talking about Haiti because I'm Haitian. So one thing about Haiti is, you know, like if you was to look at it right now, it's probably one of the poorest country, you know, in the world. But most people don't realize a long time ago, Haiti was one of the richest colonies in the world. A lot of people don't know that. So my book is going to cover that. It's going to show people like we wasn't always like that. It's going to show
Yes.
how France, you know, when we got our independence, they put warships on our shore. So we had to pay them back millions of dollars. And then we didn't have the money to pay them back. We had to borrow the money from them to pay them. And then of course we defaulted on payment, and even had the United States even turned it back against Haiti.
Yes.
So you know, a country like America, if they turn it back against you, what is the rest of the world going to do? So it was like, I just want to educate people on that. Then another book is going to be called A Walk with My Dad. It's going to talk about the relationship with my dad and how I transferred over to my kid. You know, one of the hardest things I had to learn that, you know, my dad, he taught me everything in the world. But the only thing he didn't teach me how to live without him in the world. So you know, that was profound. And you know, and then the third book is going to have a collection of positive encouragement quote and affirmation that can really make positive change people's lives.
Awesome. Awesome. I love to see my brothers out here doing things, because the world tries to tell the world that y'all don't. So I love to see you doing everything, passing it on to the kids. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. I love it. So I love it. So right now we're going to do my random question, and then I'm going to trouble you to tell people how they connect with you and pick up the books and all of that stuff. Okay.
Very cool.
Let's see what we've got. All the brothers I know from Haiti are excellent tailors.
Okay.
Make wonderful suits. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. When it comes to toilet paper, is it over or under?
Over. Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
Okay,
That was feels weird pulling under, just over, just makes sense.
okay, we can stay friends. Yes, over. So tell people how they pick up the books, how they get an appointment with you, fix their credit, get more information, pour into the kids' legacy. How do we do that?
So one thing I want to do is like, so you actually gonna get to select like one of your guests, and I'm actually gonna send them an autograph copy, a free autograph copy. You know, whoever you select, my assistant going to send it out to them.
Awesome.
So people can they can find me on Instagram. It's Mr. Rony_Credit Hero. They can go on my website www.ronyfrancois.com. They can call me 443-738-5529. And if all that fails, they can actually Google me. I'm Googleable now. Rony Francois, the Credit Hero.
Awesome, awesome. And we're gonna be doing some tours to Haiti soon, right?
Yes, I plan on going back sometime during the summer.
Awesome, awesome. Well, dear, I just truly appreciate everything you're doing, not only with passing it on to your kids, but kind of getting this awareness about credit out, because I don't think a lot of people understand how much you can leverage in your life when you have good credits, and how much it makes your life so much simpler. So I just kudos to you and the work that you're doing and improving people's life. I just, from below me, thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. I definitely appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, everybody, that is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time. Oh.